and welcome to the ROCKATX online worship experience. You're getting ready to experience God on another level. Whatever you're seeking from God for your life is available for you as you praise, hear the word, and transform your situation. While you're worshiping with us, feel free to interact with our online ministers in the chat and share this broadcast with your friends and family so they can join you online. Also, make sure you subscribe and follow the ROCKATX on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram to stay connected to all the Rock is doing. Now, shake off the worries of the week and get ready to give God some praise. Service will begin soon.
Many of us who are streaming and even who are sitting here, it's funny to watch as a pastor that we deal with the idea of addiction, anxiety, and depression. And I see it all the time, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and it doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are. Many people are dealing with this cycle, and anxiety medicine usage is at an all-time high. Everybody's taking some type of anxiety medicine just to help them deal with whatever else. Depression medicine usage is at an all-time high. So it's interesting that in a season where we have more than we've ever had before. And everybody, when you look at social media, everybody's living their best life, and everybody's, and I'm traveling here, and I'm going here, and everybody's telling you they're traveling to islands you never heard of, and places you never heard of, coast, toos, cuss, whatever else. And I'm saying, and I'm not hating on anybody, but it's the idea of, wow, you got money, you got travels, you got experiences, you got this, and you got that. But you also are doing all of this while dealing with depression, anxiety, and addiction. And I asked myself, well, why is this? This researcher gave me a great insight on why it is, and it was so exciting because what you have to understand is this. We are biological animals, and so our brain is kind of wired a certain way, and I want you to know this about you. It doesn't matter who you are, this is how we work internally. Am I making sense? And my brain is wired in such a way that God set me up to like my brain at an even keel. I like to be, what some of us will say is chill. I like to be in that space where I'm not too high, I'm not too low. So if you can imagine a seesaw, this even bar and this little pot spot in the middle, and the bar goes up and down, right? So my brain likes for the bar to be even. That's why it tries to keep us in that space. Now, but when you experience something that you like, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs or whatever else, you have what most people say a dopamine injection that sends you really high. So if you can imagine, so now your brain says, man, that was great. And so now your seesaw goes up, right? But remember, here's the problem. My brain doesn't like being like this. What's my brain like? Being balanced. So now, and this is kind of a cruel trick, because the brain says, oh, out of balance. So you got some real high highs. So what I've got to do is go in and add some real low lows to bring the seesaw back even. Man, this is great. And before you can say the T in great, your brain says, okay, chill out now. Let's bring it down. Now it does this because it also wants to keep you motivated. Because dopamine actually helps you not only get your high, but it helps to keep you motivated, helps to keep you energized. They did some research. Am I all right so far? I'm being nerdy for just a second, but I'm going to work my way back to the text in a minute. So dopamine is very interesting because dopamine keeps you motivated. So that means that when you have your real high, then your brain says, let's send some gremlins over here to make it low, so that we can bring you back to even. Because when we bring you back to even, then now you can be motivated again and have the energy to do whatever it took to give you the high again. They said, well, Researchers said, well, let's look at this. What happens when you remove dopamine from people? So they took some mice and they did some genetic engineering, and they removed the dopamine receptors from them. So the mice never got a high. They never experienced pleasure. And so now, what's interesting is, so when they fed the mice, if they fed the mice, if they put the food in the mouse's mouth, the mouse would eat it. But without dopamine, if they took the food and put it beside the mouse, which caused the mouse to have to work, without dopamine, the mouse wouldn't do it. And in fact, the mouse starved to death because they didn't have the dopamine, which was the motivator to do the action that brought them pleasure. Am I making sense? So God is like, yeah, I don't mind you having pleasure, but I got to bring you back down so that you will have some motivation in your life to do some things that bring you pleasure. Does it make sense? Now, if you can imagine, so the higher I get, the harder my brain has to work to bring you back to balance. Your brain is not trying to bring you down, it's trying to bring you to balance. Am I making sense? Your brain is not trying to punish you, it's trying to bring you to balance. Am I making sense? So your brain, like, we just got to get you right. And so now, why is this important? Why is this important? Because your brain is wired like that, but our brain was not wired for a world where we constantly want to be high. So that means this. Back in the day, if you want to do some dirt, you got to sneak around. You have to work hard. You want to buy a dirty magazine, you got to sell your money. You got to go to the store. You got to be old enough. You got to walk up to the clerk while nobody else is around. Get your little black bag. Go home. Put it under your mattress, little dirty boy. Not that I know. I'm just talking about what people have told me. Our forefathers, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, to make the cake, they made a cake, which means there was flour and sugar and oil and mixing bowls and all kinds of stuff. Some of us remember licking the spoons and all that kind of stuff, all those things. And so baking cake was work. So it took energy and everything else. Right now, it's nothing but cakes. Now you can buy a cake anywhere, anytime. So you want a pie, you want this, and so it's all around. And then you don't even have to leave your house no more. Now you can just tell people to bring it to you. So now I want you to understand something. So we got this constant thing of dopamine, food, whatever we like, right? All the, everybody, all the drugs you want, and you can get it instantly, right? So now the problem is you're always high. So your brain is now working overtime to bring you into equilibrium, which means it's trying to bring you back down, so that when you're not high, what you feel like you're experiencing emotionally is anxiety, because the brain is like, come on back down, and so you can't sleep, your stomach hurt, you're irritable. I'm making sense. You're having physiological symptoms. Why? Because your brain is like, we got to bring you down. You can't be that. You can't be there. Because, and you're like, no, I want more of this. And the brain's like, okay, I got to get more of this. Then you're like, well, I'm going to mix I'm going to drink and smoke. I'm going to drink and smoke and do pills. And so we're adding all kind of stuff to our lives. So if you can imagine, we're an addictive culture. And it's addictive to sex, whatever, drugs, rock and roll, whatever your thing is, right? And it's available all the time. So you're at church, and you're sitting at church, and your brain is going, and God is saying, okay, come down. And you say, I'm anxious. I feel depressed. Because your brain is like saying, come down, let's go back into reality. And you're like, I can't wait till I get out of here so I can go do my stuff. And so now we got people now in these crazy cycles where everybody's on antidepressant medicine, and everybody's on anxiety medicine, everything else, and then you do the drug or the thing to cope, which actually feeds into your depression. Am I making sense? And we're now in this cycle, and I'm watching people enter and live in these cycles where it's just like, you got more money than you've ever had and as miserable as you've ever been. You're driving the nicest car you've ever driven, and while you're driving in it, you're depressed. You finally got your spot. You finally got your house, but you sit in that house, in your room with your bed you've been wanting, and the mattress that you bought, and with the flat screen TV on the wall, and you got everything set up, and you sit there like this. Because Paul said, I learned to be abased, and I've learned to abound. He said, but in all things, I've learned to be content. Am I making sense? So that means I've got to relearn and I've got to retrain my brain on how to be content. Now, if you'll bring Chuck up here now for me, Tony, can somebody help him, or you got it all? I'm going to show you something. So what happens is this. Well, Dr. Moody, why am I like this? What you don't realize is this, that many of the things that we learned in life, we've learned from, you can put him right there. He's a good spot right there. Many things we learned in life, we have learned from either our environment or our parents, or our past. So environment, parents, and past are the things that drive us. Think about it. When you're a parent, whatever makes you happy, whatever gives you a dopamine rush, you know what you teach? You teach it to your kids, whatever your thing is. In my family, listen, food is the celebratory agent. You happy? Food. It's your birthday? Food. Graduation? Food. Listen, you cured cancer? Food. That is my family's deal. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it's huge. And so now as a kid, remember. So whatever made my dad happy or my mom happy, they made me happy with what made them happy. So I learned how to be happy. So how to be happy with food. So my thing is, if we're having a family reunion, who's cooking? We're having a funeral. Who's cooking? Somebody graduated? Who's cooking? And so now that means that in my brain, dopamine is connected to food. And so to diet in my brain, if I do good today, you know what I deserve? Food. If I preach good today, you know what I deserve? Food. I tell you, listen, I'll be like, I did good today. I preached. People were blessed. It seemed like somebody joined. Somebody gave life to Christ. You know what I deserve? Some food. I'll tell people, I'll put up with a lot of things, but at least I'm going to eat well. Because in my mind, listen, I'm not talking about your mind. I'm talking about my mind. Am I making sense? Making sense. So to think that I can't have food. I did a blood test to check on my food allergies. I did a blood test. I was checking my food because I said, let me see what foods I'm allergic to. My blood test came back, y'all. I got the list. It said, first thing it said was beef. The devil is a lie. Then it said eggs. Oh, this is demonic. Beef, eggs, milk, bread, yeast, almonds. And so I said, what can I eat? I can't eat nothing. So why? Because I saw this as now, this is terrible. Because in order to be healthy, this is what my brain said. This is the lie my brain said. This is the lie, y'all. My brain said, in order to be healthy, Dr. Moody, you got to die. My brain said, in order to be healthy, man of God, you're going to die. You got to die. And I was like, if you can't eat beef and eggs and bread and egg, and I'm not a big milk drinker, but almonds and everything. I said, what can you eat? What in the world is there other than this? So my brain, nobody want to talk about no vegetables, no freaking fish, chicken. Chicken start with C. C is cheap. Chicken is cheap. You don't want no cheap. My mind was rationalizing it all and making it crazy, right? Why? Because what you understand is this. You see how raggedy Chuck is? And you see how he's dirty and he's bent up and he's deformed, everything else. This is all of our past. This is all the issues that your parents and everything else. Now here's the deal. I'm not bound by my past. So I learned to live life as long as my past, everything I've learned about happiness and joy and success is tied there. And so now, if you can imagine, I am limited. Listen, I operate all day long, but notice I got to change my walk because I got to keep my addiction. But here's the deal. I can only walk and extend myself as far as my connections will allow. Am I making sense? So that means there are some parts of my life where I think I'm big and bad enough to walk off stage. And I think I'm doing good. But I'm really not doing good because I'm still connected. Am I making sense? And so I live a life now that tells me that all you can do now is operate in life according to this chain. So my life is bound around this cycle. And this cycle tells me, and so now I do this when I'm 20, when I'm 30, when I'm 40, and I just live life in this cycle. Am I making sense? What you don't understand, see, this is why you look like your parents, you live like your parents, you move in the same kind of house they do, and you do the same thing because it's the same system. So now you see this apple right here. This is a Granny Smith apple. I'm not allergic to this, and I like these. And this is what I think I look like on the outside. But if you look at the Bible tells us when you look at the Word of God, it's like looking at yourself in a mirror. So when I look in the mirror of the Word of God, I'm just dealing with the core of where I came from. So all I am is a dressed up core. That means now I learned to operate life and dress myself up and keep myself together, but I'm really still chained to the same thing. And every now and then I'll maybe loosen a little bit, step out and be like, man, you don't understand what I'm working with. But the reality is I'm still tethered or connected to this. Now, notice that 1 Peter 1:18. I love this, and I love the way the Good News Bible said this. It says this, for you know what was paid to set you free, listen, from the worthless manner of life handed down by your ancestors. Now, here's where we're challenged, because some of y'all said this. You started defending your chain. It ain't worthless. We successful people. All the Moodys, all the Wilsons, all the Smiths. Man, you don't understand. We are successful people. But you got to realize this, that y'all all are successful, mean people. But y'all don't think it's different because it's how y'all operate. So y'all don't see it's mean. Y'all say it's real. You don't call it trifling. You just call it, this is how we do it here in our family. And you sit amongst people who all say, yeah, this is how we do it. And it's all right. But I want you to understand something. It says this, the Bible calls it the worthless manner of life handed down by your ancestors. Your ancestors. So the Bible says that what you learn from Chuck is worthless. Let me go with this. Many people, even in marriages, aren't fighting their own battles. They're fighting the battles of their mom and daddy. You watch mom and daddy fight, and as a kid, you learn that's how you fight. Or you learn not to fight. And so you learn how to operate, and you learn these behaviors. And they're so normal to you that you don't know they're sick. And then you try to marry a person who cannot break you from your bondage, but live in your bondage. And so now, I want you to understand something. This means this, that I hang out with people, I spend time with people, I learn to love people who can keep me in my bondage. And then we create the next generation of bound people. So that means this. Remember, type 2 diabetes is more learned than it is genetic. So your mama got it, your grandmama had it, your great-grandmama had it, and you have it. Why? Because of your habits. Not because of anything. It's your habits. Because you have access to other choices. But those choices don't taste good to you. Oh, it's quiet in here. I told you. We're going to just open it up today. Now, so it says this, that, listen, we know, what price, we know what was paid to set you free from the worthless manner of life handed down by your ancestors. Do you believe that your family traditions and traits are worthless? And the answer is no. You believe they are precious. And now this is what the text says. It says, it was so bad, it was not something that could be destroyed, such as silver or gold. It was the costly sacrifice of Christ, who was like a lamb without defect or flaw. In other words, your systems were what put Christ on the cross. But now you're looking at your systems and you're trying to defend your systems while serving Christ. So you want to be saved but trifling. You want to be saved but mean. And so you with your saved self, when people get on your nerves, you don't answer your phone. So when the saints say, hey, brother so-and-so, hey, sister so-and-so, we need you to help out with this. I wish I would answer this phone. They don't know where I come from. Watch this. And then you'll be around your environment and your people just like you. You say, watch this. Watch this. You put it on Do Not Disturb. And they say, you right. Put it on Do Not Disturb. And you say, sure did. I wish I would answer this. Watch this again. Look at them. They're going to delete me. Watch. You know what I'm going to do with this? They're going to text me. You know what I'm going to do? They say, you're going to delete it. You say, I sure am. Watch me delete it. Our smokers are in environments where you are allowed to smoke. Our drinkers are in environments where you are allowed to drink. And you marry and date people and hang out with people that allow you to do what it is you're going to do. Fat people hang out with fat people. Fat person don't hang out with no fit person. You don't want to go out to eat with no fit person if you fat. It'd be like, well, they got a dessert menu. Dessert. And they like, oh, I've got to go to some cardio. I'm going to go straight to the gym after this. And you're like, I'm not going to eat with you no more. You're getting a salad. You're getting a salad, no bread, no butter. You're getting water instead of sweet tea. I done got a steak, a baked potato, appetizer. I'm looking at the dessert menu, want some ice cream. Can you top it with some ice cream? And I'm rewarding myself. And you looking at me like, oh, I don't, no, I'm. So what do? I go find me another fat person. So that's why I don't eat with Bridget. That's why I don't eat with y'all. Listen, some people I be like, well, you want to go eat? No, I'm good. I got to find me a fat person to go eat with. Because fat people discover things. A couple of years ago, I was at Starbucks. They had a muffin. What was it? A pecan maple muffin. And I was sitting there, I looked at it, and my fat man jumped out. And he said, hey, if they heat it up, and then you get them to put some drizzles of honey on it and heat it up, the honey will go into the pastry. And then when you eat it, it's soft and moist and sweet, everything else. So I was like, cut it in half. And then I set it up, Elder. And then I sat there and I was like, man. And then people was like, man, that looks good. I said, man, it is good. So I call on my fat friends and say, you know what you got to do? You need to go to Starbucks. And I told them, tell them to put it on 20 seconds. No, not 30, put it on 20 seconds, because then it's still hot and moist. 30 seconds will make it dry. And then put the honey on afterwards. If they put the honey on before, then it'll crystallize. It'll be that hard sugary thing. Listen, I understand this. Why? Because I don't know the price that was set for the worthless manner of life handed down to me. So I'm saying, here, I'm talking about me. I ain't talking about you. But listen, some of you don't have friends. Why? Because you're trifling. You're mean. And you got a 6-month cycle of friends. And after 6 months, they let you down. All your friends let you down after 6 months. All your friends can't be faithful after 6 months. That's a sign that the problem is not them, it's you. Am I making sense? Every person who's worked with you, dated you, hung out with you, have the same negative testimony. And you say that the world is just against you.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you liked this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.